U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was in Russia this week for a meeting with his counterpart, Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov. Pompeo also met with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. There was much to discuss as both countries seek to improve their relationship. And the meeting took place as tensions between the U.S. and Iran continue to rise. We begin with this report from CGTN's Lucy Taylor in Sochi.
He arrived saying he expected a frank conversation about the challenges between the United States and Russia. And in recent months, there have been enough of those. This was Mike Pompeo's first visit as U.S. Secretary of State, and he tackled some of the most uncomfortable topics head on.
Interference in American elections is unacceptable. If the Russians were to engage in that in 2020, it would put our relationship in an even worse place than it has been. And encourage them not to do that, we would not tolerate that.
They had to agree to disagree on a number of issues, including the standoff in Venezuela. And then there was avoiding an arms race. Both countries have recently suspended a decades-old missiles treaty. Here, they said they would continue talking about what comes next.
Since we're talking about major nuclear powers, the tension between Russia and the US inevitably affects the rest of the world. Therefore, we have agreed with the Secretary of State that we need to take practical steps to amend the current situation.
There was even talk of another meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin at June's G20 summit in Japan, as Trump himself had said he wanted earlier in the week.
Engaging with Vladimir Putin will put Donald Trump and his administration under intense scrutiny back home. But here in Russia, this kind of high-level meeting will only be seen as a win, and one that could even lead to a new phase in what has been an increasingly fraught relationship.
But no one expects things to change quickly.
I think that there is a sense of doom in Moscow. There is not a lot of enthusiasm in terms of potential dialogue with Donald Trump because they understand that the U.S. president is constrained in many important ways, and these constraints, of course, limit the space for maneuvering.
Mike Pompeo said the U.S. and Russia are not destined to be adversaries, but two countries on opposite sides of so many of the world's crises may need more than warm handshakes to find common ground. Lucy Taylor, CGTN, Sochi, Russia.